licking up the creamy middle like she did when she was little. It's hard to hide the kid inside when you're crunching Oreo. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland, 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 Dixieland. Praise God, rally, oh, this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the
All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to Dixieland, the Proletariat. We're going to talk about Southern working class history and current events through a leftist perspective. Make sure to like us on social media at Dixieland, the Proletariat, or Dixie Prole. And if you want to give your wages to a bunch of rednecks, and subscribe to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Dixie Prole. We got a lot of cool stuff to give you, including CDs, stickers, a cookbook, Discord server, Twitch stream, exclusive episodes. We also have a Spotify playlist with some great artists y'all should check out, as well as our merch store. This podcast is brought to you by Contractional Monogamy, Therapy, Vaping, Living at Home, Modelo, Pushing People in the Swamps, Tommy Cheating Death, and a movie where this podcast goes back in time and beats up the Founding Fathers. Shout out to our new Patreon subscribers, Gavin, Deanna, Isabel, The Skeletal Circus, Jacob, and someone whose name I can't pronounce, but their face is Slavoj Žižek. Our monthly Patreon surplus goes to groups that are run by and or help marginalized people directly. As always, I'm Nelson with
Mike Rifkin, president of Nabisco.
I am in mental despair.
And I'm here only in spirit.
and our guest this evening is
Brandyn Buchanan, here from Atlanta. I'm former chair of Atlanta DSA, led that chapter during the uprising. I'm also the host of the Not Safe For Wonks podcast at NSF Wonks on Twitter. And we're just the best. Everybody loves us. We got 100% approval rating, and we did that without an army or threat of physical violence, just pure good vibes. It's good to be here. We've been, we obviously have been around each other on Twitter for months and months and months. It's good to finally be interacting in kind of what passes for the real world.
Hell yeah. What passes for the real world today. And I like how you're calling in because it makes it sound like you're doing some clandestine shit like in the middle of Georgia somewhere. But it's just
we're always doing real important shit down here. And we don't have to pretend that Comcast, just arbitrarily shut me off a couple hours ago. You're living under the whim of a dark and petty god down here. Comcast can just some days just want to work with you and just some days not. And I think they just decide whenever it's really important to just shut your internet off for a couple of hours. But we believe down here in the South being flexible and being prepared for when shit hits the fan. So it wasn't that much more than a speed bump to me.
There you go. That's always good. You're the second person we've ever had to call in. So this is interesting.
The first person was in
last
prison.
note is you guys have such a clean opening. I've been thinking about this ever since I heard it for the first time. You guys do a big rundown at the top of the episode, get a lot of stuff done. We grew up listening to Chapo Trap House 15, 20 years ago, and they just start cackling to each other about stuff, and that's just always been our motto, But boy, I just love that good organization. It really makes my heart stir.
Did you hear that? He thinks we have a clean opening.
No, he's full of shit. Brandyn, stop lying. You're full of shit. We are flying by the seat of our pants. Tommy's just making fun of me. They're all just making fun of me right before. It's a clusterfuck that somehow comes together.
I'm pretty sure we've had at least 10 episodes with the term contractual monogamy that Nelson has not been able to pronounce any of those times. Contractual. Not contractional.
Nuclear.
I can't remember the last time I actually said my name on this show.
We're now we're like a hive mind. This is the board. It's just me, and then y'all just see. You can say your actual names. It's literally just been I'm Nelson, and I'm I
would rather not have my actual name associated with this. So,
Brandon, see
Nelson,
how
you're the one that keeps telling me I need to get an Instagram or I would be really big on TikTok. Like, what makes you think I want anybody to know who I am?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear shit. This motherfucker put me on a goddamn t-shirt.
We did make a sticker too, but that didn't make it past,
did, yeah.
past muster.
The hammer. Oh my God. See, Brandon, we're not all that organized. We're just like four depressed people that come together and complain on a podcast, which I think is all
Yeah, I
podcasts.
do. Yeah, that's literally a great description of literally every podcast. But it's okay. It's special when we do it.
That is true. That is true. Now, let's get right on into it. So being in the South, and if you're especially in the deep South, and you hear about DSA, like Metro Atlanta DSA or Atlanta DSA is announced as it's called now, is probably the biggest. You look up by the numbers, and it's just like wow, like right here in like the heart of the South is a big socialist organization. So like, can you just tell us a little bit about Atlanta DSA, like when y'all started and like how many, like just about it, because it's very interesting that a organization with the word socialist in it could get that big in the heart of the South.
Well, Atlanta DSA, I mean, the number one thing you got to remember is just that, yeah, the Atlanta's got a big history of anti-capitalist work dating back to before the civil rights movement and since. So there's obviously just a large culture and history of activism down here that exists already. Atlanta DSAs, we're the largest chapter in the Southeast. We've got 1,000+ members. And yeah, we've existed for quite a while, dating back to the 90s, because Milt Tambor, our founder, has been working on this back when Bernie Sanders was an obscure nobody. And we've got just a lot of age diversity in our ranks. And obviously, just memberships exploded since the Sanders campaign. Lots of people coming in, and we've just had to grow a lot over the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years. I've been here for 3 years, and it's been a blast. And I've seen just tremendous growth. We were working in libraries and small halls, and the buildings are kind of the same size, but the scale of the work that we do and the number of people that are engaged with it is a lot bigger. And it's translated and helped us do pressure campaigns on city council. It's helped us do mutual aid and fundraisers. We've done events with church groups and voting rights groups and other groups in the Black community. Just kicking ass general. We got a candidate for city council, and we're hoping to get ourselves a seat on that city council. Rogelio Arcilla in District 4. Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's a whirlwind.
You said you have 1,000 members. So real quick, I don't think people need to realize how big Atlanta is. Like it just geographically land size, it takes up like 6 or 7 counties. Like it's 1,000 people. That's tremendous. How the hell do you get how does a chapter with 1,000 people even operate? Because I think what we understand like Brooklyn DSA and like chapters in like bigger New England cities, like everyone's just a few blocks probably away from each other. But like, how do you organize 1,000 members in Atlanta?
Well, that's the subject of a whole lot of political back and forth. The first thing that you've got to understand is just, as the fact everybody's not engaged, right? There are lots of people who are member who, sign up thing and they fill out a form and they pay dues. And they're not doing everything from week to week or showing up to all the meetings. Part of our work has just been to keep paper members or people that come in and sign on engaged with the work of the chapter. I mean, our average general meetings, it's not like we get 1,000 people out to those. Like a really banger general meeting, we might get 100 folks. We get the yearly convention, we might get the 125. Average meeting, COVID has just put everything all around the map, but let's say 60 to 70 folks come chapter is really where the work gets done, and it's in branches. We've got groups in Midtown, East Atlanta, Cobb and Cherokee County. I'm not going to list all these local localities. Nobody from outside Atlanta even knows. But yeah, we've got 5 or 6 subgroups, and they hold weekly meetings too. So that there's just always a way to be kind of plugged in with the local procedure and not feel too disconnected from the citywide organization.
That is interesting how you have the breakdown like that. That seems like a really good idea with a chapter that's that big and that spread out, to have kind of like sub chapters within a chapter. That sounds like a really awesome idea. What are some of the main things that y'all are tackling in Atlanta? Obviously with the South, there's a history of racial problems and segregation, and how like the Red Scare and socialism being like a bad term. So like with that history in mind, like what are some of the big things y'all are tackling there in Atlanta?
Let me tell you guys, and this is a situation where when other Southern chapters talk to us, y'all have got a much harder road than we've got. We've got our own cultural stuff that we're working on and getting better at, but you can go anywhere in Atlanta and say fuck cops and people will pat you on the back. We do a lot of abolition work. We do a lot of gentrification work. Our central campaigns right now are, number one, we're doing union surveys and doing long-term stuff, trying to get people to organize their workplace. We've got Stop Cop City, the Atlanta Police Foundation and some of their allies are bulldozing like a huge block of land in DeKalb County to build a police training facility, a massive, expensive police training facility, like in the middle of town. And this was something where Atlanta DSA, Sierra Club, a whole lot of organizations really got involved, and we canvassed and put out flyers and called city council, and we didn't really have, we got one person to flip their vote, and it's being delayed now, and we're making our final push. That might still be happening by the time that this episode comes out. Who knows? It hasn't really been impossible to get people on board, because you got to remember, since the Sanders campaign, it's just been kind of normalized for young folks. And if you've got you got colleges in town, people are coming in all the time. The challenge is, what are they doing once they get here, and are they finding work that inspires them and interests them? And the more that we do that, the better off we are as a chapter. And we've been doing all right there.
That's awesome.
The word socialism isn't ain't a deal breaker for everybody in the world. And it's not like, it's a city of tons and tons of people, and most of them are working class and just trying to go on about their day. And so when you lead with what the agenda is, Medicare and housing and human rights and ending wars, and the word socialist don't scare people anymore, because capitalism ain't doing a great job.
Yeah, not at all. Well, I think what people definitely need to realize is that, and people who probably listen to the podcast know this, but the people outside of the South tend to think that it's all just really rural, and they don't really understand that cities like Miami and Atlanta are in the South. They don't really understand that Atlanta is this huge, big metropolitan city of 6 million people, and it's not this, I guess people want to think like a backwater rural area. It is it's a massive metropolitan city with one of the busiest airports in the world. So it is nice to hear that an organization like DSA is able to make moves in a big southern city. You were talking about earlier during the uprisings. So for people who don't know, the case of Rashad Brooks, when he was killed by the police, and I just want to what was DSA's role in the Black Lives Matter marches and bringing attention to police violence?
Man, let me tell you, I was the chair at the time. Our previous chair left, and it was very next man up, and I was actually doing a workshop out in public during the uprising. We were doing like a big public speaking event, and the night before that had happened, Rayshard had got shot, and we were, lugging the PA across town. At that time, a lot of the movement groups in Atlanta shared a single PA that we would like borrow and pass around. So we were hauling it around because we had gotten it for the day. Me and Rara Imler, and we had done like a workshop, 200 people in Candler Park, and we, broke them up into subgroups and had them all talk and share and get organized. The chapter as a whole, and we did numerous. I mean, we were at numerous marches and numerous rallies. Literally, I'd say the entire organization did a good job of like having a presence there. We also were able, and one of the good things just about being in any social organization that's got like a good scale is that you can look for ways to fill a unique role. So we were really able to do control and logistics stuff really quickly. And because so much of the marches were unorganized at that time, just being able to, have everybody's contact information in case of an arrest, being able to coordinate, between groups and make sure that everybody got in and out safely, whether they were with the org or not. We were just able to have eyes on that whole situation. No, we did really well. Especially because nobody had that infrastructure before we had to, before all of us had to kind of build it at the same time. And that kind of outpouring, I mean, man, I was at that Wendy's after it had burned down. They were they were attempting to make a community center at that space. And those groups that were down there had blocked off the Wendy's, and they were doing training, and they were doing just lots of community fellowship shit that was really positive. It's been that was a long year, man. And the stuff that you're seeing now is really an extension of that work. We can't fill Centennial Park every day because you were talking about, hey, Atlanta DSA, 1,000 people. Man, you know how many people were out there in Centennial Park? People were out there, King Center. You know how many people were out there? I mean, name a site in Atlanta. I'm not going to do all that in-town shout-out stuff, but it was tens of thousands. It was stadiums full of people that were out there protesting. Our role isn't necessarily to run canvases till we get that many people and we hit a button and they all come out. But our role is to always kind of be in a vital role and always have really strong credibility with groups in the area and with the unorganized working class as a whole, so that the next time some shit like that goes down, we're one of the groups that's in position to keep people safe and get our demands met. You know what I mean?
I think it is definitely always good to have that organization, that structure, and already in place for when things happen. I think a lot of people think that, excuse me, that these things just appear out of nowhere, but it's the organizations that have already laid the groundwork. So when something happens, you can go right and hit the ground running to try and get things fixed and to get justice served. I guess the next question is, and Tommy's brought this up before on podcasts. We've talked about it and kind of joked about it.
Wait,
but
before you get into that, I do have a question. So recently there's been a couple studies done about the term defund the police, and apparently people overwhelmingly do not like that. But when also in these same polls, they're asked, how do they feel about diverting resources, diverting funds to other resources? They're all aboard. It's overwhelmingly supported. So has there been any talks about pivoting on the messaging or changing how it's presented to the public?
Our working group is called Defund APD, Refund Communities. It just is what it is. I don't really see a need to soft pedal our message. We canvass in the real world, and when we talk, I mean, people are my opening question is, hey, Atlanta police budget is going up 6% this year. When we talk about defunding, it's not like, the Atlanta police ain't been defunded. There's no police department in the whole country that's been defunded. Budgets are skyrocketing at a time of great economic hardship. So before we can even get to the point of anything else, we've got to be able to confront what the problem is directly. If we were in the 70s and somebody were like, boy, budgetary problems are out of control, but nobody wants to defund the military, you would probably respond, hey, that's a battle we've got to fight because our budget is at the core of everything that we do. Here in Atlanta, the Atlanta Police Department's budget is like 34% of our budget. It might be a little more, might be a little less. I ain't got paper in front of me, but it's like a third of our budget. And I personally, and other folks might feel differently, we're not getting anything out of soft pedaling that message because, frankly, there's tons of liberal groups that are going to do reimagine, like whatever funny word you guys come up with that moves the polls a little bit. Like if it's reimagine, if it's reinvest, or whatever it is, we've seen through the history of these battles that it just gets transformed into giving these guys more money. Like whatever, like the reimagining, is it more training? The reimagining, is it, we've got to give these guys more overtime? Do they have to have conflict resolution classes? It feels like, just in our experience looking at these local struggles nationally, every softened term comes out of the sandwich something totally different than what folks intend for it to be. So from a messaging perspective, there are always times to be strategic, but on this specific issue, I think the message should just be defund, because the goal is defund. Obviously, community investment and community care and poverty is all super important, and where we lead and how much is in one message or another, that's up to the folks that design the canvassing materials. But me personally, yeah, I'm a just say defund type guy. We're in a long-term struggle in politics. Who knows what it's going to be in 3 years or 4 years? Things are rapidly changing, and somebody's got to push the envelope where it needs to get pushed.
Yeah, and y'all got those motherfuckers everywhere in Atlanta too. Like on the interstate, like every 25 yards, there's two of them fucking lazy motherfuckers just sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah, listen, it's not even about those fucking guys, although it's about those fucking guys. It's really about structure. It's really about the changing character of our city. Atlanta used to be like a fucking fun, cool place to live and hang out, and it wasn't too expensive. It had a good culture, and now rents are going up. Bills are going up. Food's going up. Everything's getting way more expensive, and folks can't afford to live in their houses or get from one place to another. And frankly, like the housing situation's just been terrible, and the cops have been exacerbating that with just incredible quality of life, quote unquote, arrests and stops. I mean, most of what the police do is hassle people for not being in the right area of town at the right time. And it's just an incredible inconvenience to people's lives, and not to mention, the incredible violence that police visit on Black folks and the disabled and women. And name a group that ain't going through it at the hands of these guys. It ain't been great.
So we go back to, it actually kind of flows into what I wanted to ask, because Tom and I have kind of joked about it when it was first said and was posted on the news. But you have like T.I. saying that Atlanta is like Wakanda, and you have Killer Mike on stage with a shirt that says "Kill Your Masters," but then talking about, you know, protecting businesses and things like that. I guess my question, and I guess like Tom and I both kind of had, is like that actually like resonate with people when those people say,
man.
are they really detached
look,
from?
There are lots of people in Atlanta who still individually like Killer Mike. I mean, Run the Jewels 4 was real good. I mean, he had to put that out just because he was just getting, his reputation was taking a fucking beating after all that moaning and crying down there with Keisha downtown. It was real sad to see those guys just be complete apologists for the cops in town. And no, man, there's not a lot. Well, look, obviously every big city, and maybe we're painting too rosy a picture here because we're happy that there is a socialist presence that exists in a major city. Every big city is like controlled by liberalism. I mean, the stuff you guys see in Chicago and the stuff you guys see in LA, New York, Boston, Miami, we got the same problems down here in Atlanta of just being dominated by property and media and policing. And yeah, the celebrities are making noise about being with the people, and then when it hits the fan, they're on TV crying, and Tip's doing some shit that we don't even, is so dirty we don't even need to talk about him. He in a whole separate category, him and Tiny out here doing real foul shit that's going to all be on national news probably within the next year. Yeah, they got real problems. We don't even have to put him in the same bucket, but yeah, Mike's been on his Mike has had his own very idiosyncratic politics that are just based on personal empowerment more than, I think, real and political analysis. You know, he's out training people to be landlords and shit, you know.
Killer Mike stumps over fucking Ted Turner like way too hard. Like you listen to interviews and like he loves Ted Turner. Yeah.
I mean, look, you know, it was a different time culturally, and if you're a sports fan, you'd much rather have a crazy dude like Ted Turner that's got more money than he knows what to do with, and he wants to win you a championship than any of these bloodless corporate boards that run teams right now. I mean, honestly, the Braves going from being run by Ted Turner to being run by Time Warner is a pretty good encapsulation of the change in the city just over the last 15 or so years. But with all that being said, yeah, this guy talking about training people to be landlords, his politics are very just based in personal comfort and empowerment, and it's not anything that's gonna, I think, take the masses with them. And I think people just have pointed that out to his great frustration because, I mean, Mike's got a long history in town, and he's always been seen as the guy that's for the people. And just as the economy gets wilder and wilder, and honestly, as people are more organized and more educated, they're a little bit more perceptive and critical of celebrities that do activism, and they tend to ask, hey, where are you and where are you standing and what are you doing? I don't think of the guy as just an irredeemable scumbag or anything, but like he's just been obviously hypocritical on a lot of shit, and people call him on it pretty regularly. Make some dope music though.
Okay, so let's talk about this T.I. and Tiny thing. So is that real?
Oh man, I don't even want to even.
So like, are they really like trafficking people? Like, is that a thing?
Man,
we're all gonna end up dead.
But it's the dark side over there at the T.I. and Tiny Mansion, dude. That's my personal belief. I think it's heinous over there. That's why they've been so quiet.
Interesting.
That's wild. I guess.
Yeah, no, man. You seen all that stuff with R. Kelly that came out this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have some R. Kelly problems, and that's just my speculation.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get sued by any of these music labels or whatever. But yeah, it ain't looking good.
we haven't even covered Kanye yet.
Yeah, can you imagine anybody listening to this show?
Oh yeah.
then doing it.
I will say that new Kanye album is fucking fire though.
It's not out yet.
It is
out. It's out. It's out.
Oh, what? Donda?
Yeah, it's out.
Honestly, you missed it, Tommy?
It must have came out like yesterday. Like, there's no way.
It did. Okay, it literally came out yesterday.
Yeah.
With
there's
Westside,
no way.
Everybody's talking Mad Jesus shit, but Westside Gun is just straight up talking about killing people. It's the greatest fucking thing.
Dude, I'm ready. I'm listening to this shit tonight.
Hell yeah.
I really think, Kanye's had such a great discography through Life of Pablo. He should have probably just packed it in after Life of Pablo. Ye was kind of mid. I mean, there were some good tracks on Ye, and there were some good tracks on Jesus is King. There's some good tracks on Donda, but Kanye West used to be like a real fucking album artist. Used to make like real dope, cohesive cinematic records, and this stuff now is just like a box of scraps. And some of the songs are all right, but I miss when he made albums.
And never should have let Michael Jordan play for the Wizards.
Yeah, man. Yeah, in fact, yeah, I would say post Life of Pablo, Kanye is extreme Jordan for the Wizards, Pippen on the Blazers, Vince Carter on the Hawks. See the old man still. Dirk Nowitzki's last couple seasons. Oh, come see the old man. He can still play a little bit, but it's not the same.
Tyler, do you have something?
I was saying it's that Kardashian like vagina curse. I mean,
oh my God!
Look what happened to.
I don't think there's a vagina curse. I think just being rich is bad. Just you go over there and it just all of that just rots your brain out. Kanye and Kim, they're still hanging out together.
Yeah, they got remarried.
Yeah, they got remarried. They're still together.
Yeah.
Wait, they got remarried when? When did this happen?
At the Donda listening part, one of the listening show, the last one.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Is that I heard that was just a video, but if it turns out they got remarried, then that's funny as hell. I'd remarry anybody to promote my album. Just any of my exes. Let's all get back together. We can all get back together at the same time. What was that thing we were doing? Contractual monogamy. Let's have a record label contractual monogamy.
You can all live in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium together.
Yeah, the Mercedes-Benz Polycule. Let's load it up.
I'm not gonna lie. Last time I drove in Atlanta, I was like, wait a minute, those aren't mountains. And all of a sudden, this big, massive Mercedes-Benz sign just comes out of nowhere. And I was like, the stadium, how it was lit at that time, like just dark, looked like mountains. That's how big the fucking thing is.
The stadium's so fucking cool. And it's big. And Atlanta United play there too.
Yeah.
Great soccer stadium, great football stadium. It's cool.
Speaking of, you talked about the Braves and we talk about the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but with all that comes gentrification, because the Turner Field is not where it used to be. It moved kind of like outside of Atlanta almost, right? So and I remember hearing one of the main issues with wanting to move the stadium was, that area of town is quote unquote bad now. So can you talk about housing in Atlanta and gentrification and how all of it's changed?
Boy, with gentrification, that's how they get you, ain't it? I mean, in my neighborhood, I'm from Bankhead Highway on West Side Atlanta. When you have like a nice business that comes through, oh, there's the CVS, oh boy, we're really moving up. And it never, a few years later, everything's going up. And I guess this thing with Turner Field, it was some bullshit. The Braves are playing all the way out in Cobb County. It doesn't make any sense, but I'll tell you, it's not so much that it's a bad neighborhood, baseball, who can afford to go to baseball games all the time? It's white folks anyway. So the baseball team being out in their neighborhood, they can have the Cobb Braves because the streets wasn't rocking with the Atlanta Braves like that anyway. Let them win something and call us back. We can go. Cobb's just 20-minute drive away. We can get out there if they're winning. If they're playing 500 ball and barely making the playoffs, Cobb County can keep them.
But how does it focus in with I guess more so with housing, because it seems like the joke is amongst like especially millennials in the South is like your problems don't end just because you move to Atlanta, right? They follow you with you, but like everyone, like the joke is to move to Atlanta. Every young person in the South is like, if I could just move to Atlanta,
don't come here. Don't come here. Stay where you are. Atlanta, like every it used to be cheap to be here, and it's changing literally the last couple years. No one can afford to be here. We're all leaving. Literally, the Westin Mall's getting bought by some group of developers in fucking New York. It is over. It's shut out ball. If you're hearing this, you're getting this from the very ground floor. Just the character of the city is just changing, and folks are getting pushed out en masse. Definitely in West Atlanta, where all the black folks used to stay, because just the wealth has just been sucked out of those places for 20 or 30 years, and just those generations can't afford those houses anymore. My own grandmother's got a place in West Atlanta. She sure can't afford, and still getting bills and insurance and shit on it. And when she kicks the bucket and can't pay for that shit no more, it's going to go to the bank, and the bank's going to sell it to some dipshit investor from Michigan who's got a fleet of 30 of these houses, and they're going to sell it for 4 times as much, because they're going to have a full portfolio and enough patience to sit on it. That's just been the situation across town. Rents are going just through the damn roof. There's really nothing positive to say about the housing situation down here over the last couple of years. We need to start leaving Atlanta and going somewhere damn cheaper than this. Unfortunately, just everywhere in America, I think there are just fewer soft places, man. And all the institutions are like slow boiling, man. And nobody seems to be satisfied inside any of them.
Yeah, I got a buddy who lives out in Smyrna in like a little 1-bedroom shitty ass shack that pays 2 times what my mortgage is to live in that. In Smyrna.
Hey, look, I used to stay in Smyrna. They got a Quiznos out there. You ever had a Quiznos sub sandwich, boy? They put the bread in the little oven. They bring it out. The cheese is melted. You bite into it. They got a little sandwich. Woo! Don't you say nothing mean about Smyrna. They got sandwiches out there like you wouldn't believe. And lots of, you ever had a cupcake about somebody whose daddy put them through college? Boy, we got some good daddy cupcakes out there in Smyrna.
Out there.
What?
There's a Sneaky Pete's out there in a gas station. The hot dog Sneaky Pete's.
Yeah. No, Smyrna's a nice little area, but yeah, no. The real disgusting place is Marietta next door, and their rents are high too. It's bad everywhere. I'm just kidding, Marietta. I used to stay out there too. I love you too, Marietta, if you're listening to this.
So I saw on Twitter that Atlanta DSA was really taking the lead on, as we know, the Supreme Court has halted and done away with the rent moratorium. So, and I saw on Twitter that Atlanta DSA was pretty at the forefront of protecting people who were going to get evicted, like going to the courts and trying to make sure these landlords just can't kick people out of their homes during a pandemic. So how is the situation changed on the ground because the moratorium has ended and landlords are going to be leeches and shitty and try to kick people out during a pandemic?
Well, first of all, Atlanta DSA is definitely not leading the way on that. We passed the housing resolution, and we're, going to hopefully take a more active role as the Cop City campaign rolls down. But boy, I'd say Housing Justice League here in Atlanta has been really leading the way on housing work and eviction defense. They've been reaching out, working with tenant organizations around the city for years now. They've got deep relationships. They print a eviction defense pamphlet that they go and flyer out in the neighborhoods, connecting them with both government, connecting them with both governmental resources, connecting them with community aid programs, connecting them with legal aid. So many of these landlords, they take advantage of the fact that these tenants don't want to go to court because they ain't got the resources. That's why they're in the situation that they're in anyway. Groups like HJL, connect those folks with lawyers and folks that have like a little extra time to go and fight those battles on their behalf. And they've just had some incredible fucking victories. And I definitely wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want to go on and talk about housing in Atlanta without shouting those guys out, because the work they do is really incredible. Marshall Rancifer also does like just tons of work with the houseless in town. And it's not exactly the same situation as eviction defense, but those are folks that are really working with the vulnerable in Atlanta and always want to spotlight their work.
That's awesome. Thank you for clearing that up. I'm glad because, things on Twitter get said. So I just want to make sure that the right people are getting credit for that. Yeah.
I'm sure that Atlanta DSA retweeted the Housing Justice League once or twice or told people to go donate to them. They're really been the number one leaders on this subject. And hopefully though, as we pass the resolution, and that'll probably be something that we tackle after the Cop City campaign is over. September, they're holding the vote on that. And we've got chapter elections at the end of September, and new incoming administration is probably going to take about a month and a half to just get their shoes on. And after that, we'll probably be talking about housing.
Now, I think the burning question that I've been wanting to ask, and I think that everyone wants to know is, who actually eats at the Varsity? Do locals actually eat at the Varsity?
Losers and tourists. Fuck no, no local person would eat at the fucking Varsity. There was one time when they had an anniversary. They had a 90th anniversary, and everything on the menu was 90 cents. Now that was fucking awesome. Now I'll eat anything at the Varsity for $1, but the idea of going to that fucking musty tourist trap and sitting in line for an hour to just eat a hamburger. Now, look, the frosted orange is pretty good. Like, if somebody hands me a frosted orange, I'll drink it. But if you're a cool person in Atlanta, you want a hamburger, the Vortex is the place to go.
The Vortex. Yeah.
The fucking Vortex. You see that big giant skull across from Savage Pizza? Savage Pizza is black owned, by the way. I didn't even know that. But the Vortex, the burger, you bite into it and it melts in your damn mouth. I've never had a hamburger that good in many, many moons. Love those guys.
I have not been to Atlanta and not been to the Vortex. Like every single time I go, I have to go to the Vortex.
I think I went there after an NXT show. I went to go watch it.
You weren't good enough. They would never let you in.
Yeah, they had a sign that said, "Don't let this fat fuck in." They was like, "Yeah."
The Vortex will kick you out if you're being a loser at the Vortex. Like they kick out assholes, man.
Yeah.
But if you go there and you're cool, like you don't have any problems. I love that place. So delicious. I don't go there too much because I just get fat, man.
Tyler, what were you saying?
What about the fucking Claremont Lounge, though? If we want to talk about fucking classics in Atlanta.
You need to get Rara Emler here because she'd tell you way more about the Claremont Lounge. But the Claremont Lounge fucking whips. And that is a place in town that actually
the latest place in Atlanta.
Yeah, that ain't no tourist trap. That's the real fucking deal, buddy. And there are so many spots. Like every place in Atlanta is a cool place. The Fox is cool. The Plaza Theater's cool. The Aquarium's cool. World of Coke's cool. It's a cool city.
The Drunken Unicorn. That's a pretty sick venue.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, the Masquerade.
Yep, the Masquerade. The rest in peace to the Hi-Fi Buys Amphitheater. We could go on and on.
Yeah.
Georgia World Congress Center. Yeah, just lots of interesting places and venues. When I was a little kid, it was the Omni. Yeah.
I think another, like, more recently in the news, since we have the president of Nabisco on the podcast with us today, is DSA planning on doing anything? Because I know the strike has spread to one of the plants in Georgia. So is Atlanta DSA planning on doing anything with the Nabisco workers or the union?
Yeah, there's a plant in Norcross that shut down, and Atlanta DSA has been numero uno on that. Just done a great job. Lots of people going out to the line, and those guys that are on the lines just want human support. Everybody thinks when there's a strike that the people striking are hardcore militant union badasses, and these guys haven't been on strikes before. A lot of these workers are doing this for the first time, and they are becoming those people, like, day by day, seeing the encouragement that they've gotten from other citizens, the food that they've gotten, the care that they've gotten, the support that they've gotten. And yeah, our chapter's done a really great job of getting people out there and getting those communications and taking pictures. We've done a little fundraising fund for the Nabisco strikers, raised a couple G's for them. Obviously we got to do stuff at bigger scale as we go on, but I think that Nabisco strike's going to last for a real long time, because those folks are all disciplined. And I think that there's going to be just a lot of conflict. But obviously, like, they're all in great shape. They're getting better shape by the day. It's been great for us. It's been great for them. And just give them your support and hope for the best.
Tommy and I talked about possibly trying to get up with somebody and going up there so we can have a redemption from the last time we tried to do it.
I will have to talk after the show, because I've sent so many messages trying to get in touch with somebody, who can talk to us about, a worker.
We absolutely need to get in touch, because I know folks that are on that line every day. Maybe we can all do some kind of event or something. Because, like, literally we can set up a camera on the line. I don't want to, because we're doing a podcast and shit, this might get cut out, but we can put a camera on the line and we can do whatever we want, dude. They love us.
Yeah, we have mobile recording stuff. We've been thinking about doing something like that. It just didn't work out the last time Tommy and I tried to do that with a different group. So hope we're trying to get some redemption.
Yeah, I'm going this time.
We're gonna go to the backwoods of Georgia.
If I get another message from you guys that somebody's almost died at another action.
Norcross, it ain't Deliverance. There's Taco Bells out there, man. They're not.
It's nothing to do with the place. It's these fuckers.
It's just us. They're gonna kill us, and then Kai's just gonna have to take over the podcast by herself.
All right. Well, listen, we'll come in here and we'll co-host it. All we need,
be completely decolonized.
I listened to that intro. We can come up with what was it? Contractual monogamy. We can come up with a contractually monogamous relationship for this show. Yeah.
What? A lot thing.
What?
Say what?
It's a lot easier than you think. This podcast.
Oh yeah, listen, I've run a podcast, and it's just tons of labor and tons of effort. It's editing and it's posting and it's sharing, and it's real work. And listeners, when they hear this stuff and they get a couple laughs, more than ever, it's important.
Yeah, you hear that, listeners? This is real work that we're doing. This is real manual labor.
Yeah, well,
I don't think you do any of the work, actually.
I keep trying to help y'all out, and I'm sitting up here trying to get in here and do a plug for you guys. Y'all start acting like
We truly are not worthy. Do not waste your breath on us.
This is to see how many White Claws I turn Zoom on.
This episode is sponsored by White Claw.
Speaking of podcasts, real quick, can you just tell us about Not Safe For Wonks? Like what's Not Safe For Wonks all about?
Boy, what is it about? We do a lot of interviews with progressive candidates, authors. Boy, the word progressive just sounds so dreary now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a fun cultural show. Think of it as like The View, but with community activists. We do live streams sometimes, but we mainly currently have a podcast. And we also do a lot of stuff in the real world. Got a community garden project. And, we're taking over Atlanta DSA. Steering committee elections are at the end of the month. And we've just got tons of stuff in the hopper, myself and my friend Rachel Kahn and my other friend Rara Imler. Just along with a lot of our friends in that organization. And we're just trying to bring us towards more community aid, more tenant organizing, more onboarding and engagement. And, at the top of this show, we talked about, hey, it's 1,000 members and, you're getting 70 to 100 to come to a meeting, depending on how important it is. We want to make sure that the branches have got tools to keep people engaged and the chapters have got tools to get people engaged. And we're not having a situation where there's the foot soldiers in the command corps, but, that there's different levels of engagement that people can kind of plug into. A lot of the internal stuff we're all just going to figure out on the floor, but I feel super confident just because we've got tons of folks in the chapter that have worked with us in the past. And like I said, we've got a little continuity because I was the former administration. So coming back one last ride, and hopefully we'll do some good work for the community before I just find some other shit to do with my life. Let me tell you.
You can only do it for you. You can only tolerate organizations for so long until you're just like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. I'm done.
just that work is really hard. Like there's a reason why. Like it's hard to keep people motivated to do it. It's tough. So it's important that work becomes less hard. And there's a bunch of technocratic administrative stuff. We want to make it a lot easier for people to get in there and work phones or send emails or just do all of the stuff that makes the chapter go.
If you can find the golden ticket to make burnout in an organization not happen, you could probably be the head of the whole national organization because burnout's literally the death of like any organization.
And I think that there are some chapters that have done a really good job with it. Metro DC has something called an administrative committee, and they really try to get people directly onboarded into tasks that fit them. Typically when somebody joins a DSA chapter, they ask what they can do, and someone points them around and it's like, you can do anything. This is a fun playhouse. And that's all well and good if you're like really advanced. I mean, like I can go and organize whatever the hell I want inside or outside of the chapter, right? But if you're somebody that's just been to a canvas or somebody knocked on your door and puts a piece of paper in your hand and you think the police budget's too high, number one, you see people who are already at, you see the organization already being run, and it's a little intimidating. Like, what is my role? What do I need to do? How can I help? And somebody's got to sit down with you and figure out what you can do and directly ask, and then kind of assign you to like a task that you can do. I think just really working to quickly get people into that, especially for a large chapter. Now, if the chapter's got like 100, 200, 300 people, you got to have a totally different strategy for how to get the most out of folks, because you just got to work at a different scale. But yeah, one of the things that I want to do this year is just get people directly plugged into work that fits their skills and not have a lot of feeling like they're lost in a giant library or a giant fun house. You know what I mean?
No, I feel you. That does sound like a good idea. I think a lot of people, if they could just find a purpose within a much larger organization or much larger chapter, they feel more inclined to do things and they feel more represented. I think a lot of people that join organizations and even much bigger chapters within the organization feel like a lot of times they get lost and they don't really know, like, you know, their place or like what to do, and they just get burned out really easily because they don't really understand and no one really kind of guides them and shows them what to do.
And hopefully, if you've been in that kind of group and you're doing administration, you will interface with our other groups and you will get up to date on the lore of the chapter really quickly. That's another thing I want to do during my next term is better, you know, internal documentation. I know this is it's so funny. And one of the problems with DSA is just you end up working multiple roles. Like we started this shit talking about how I'm out on the streets and coordinating marches and shit. And and we're also talking about data and analytics, and I'm doing that shit too. But yeah, just kind of making sure that people can get to the shit they need. I've also have been working on an onboarding app so that when we're out doing those canvases and shit, and it's a web app, it's not like some bullshit that takes up a bunch of space on your phone, but it's like a member intake survey, except way better, and can like micro target based on the interest that you put in. We're going to try to build that up over the next year, and it's got to be equitable. I want that thing to be like a victory for the entire movement, and kind of deployed in a horizontal fashion. That's one of the things that we'll talk about just over the course of the year, but we definitely want other chapters to have it once we develop it, and maybe national will pitch in a little bit since we're just doing huge epic shit here all the time. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Hell yeah. Before we wrap this up, what's coming down the pipe? Like, what are some big things to look out for that Atlanta DSA is going to be a part of?
If you're reading this, if you're listening to this and the month of September isn't over, by all means, go mosaic.vote, and that'll have our current platform statement, which is an evolving document that's going to take input from any of our members that just want to learn more, know more, all that stuff. And in terms of things that we're going to do next year, well, Rogelio Arcila's hopefully going to be our guy going into November elections. We passed a housing justice resolution, and I think everybody in the organization wants to do more housing and tenant organizing work, just kind of following in the footsteps of HJL, not really making redundancies, but doing the kind of stuff that DSA is really good at. And in fact, honestly, like Tim at Housing Justice League I called him like a year and a half ago, and he was like, "Why aren't you guys just doing your own versions of this stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we got to get there." So we're there now. I also wanted to do a community garden project. I know some people think of that as like, why aren't you just lobbying the state or whatever? And I think it's really important, like organizational skills, organizational memory. Like if you guys run a lot of canvases, you become an organization that knows about canvassing and how to do it. And you got a culture of canvassing. If you've got a lot of posters and you're all doing posting, you got a culture of posting. If you're doing community garden, you're doing like a culture of people who know how to grow food. I think that'll be something that's going to be important and useful in the time to come. There's community garden in Stone Mountain, got a budget of 2 G's a year, and they make 100 pounds of food per week. I'd love to have that kind of impact just in our own neighborhoods.
Yeah, that would be great. 100 pounds a week. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, there's other stuff going on. The Macon State Correctional Facility, like many correctional facilities in red states, complete nightmare, huge turnover, inmate abuse. We want to kind of shine a light on some of the misdeeds going on out there, and especially because that's rural, outside of the perimeter. And, our organization, we want to not just be a bunch of city slickers. We want to be out there doing grassroots stuff across our metropolitan area. What else we got coming down the pipe? There's so many things. I think those are the big ones, though.
Okay. So I guess the important thing is, where can people find you? Where can people find you on social media, online, and where can they find Atlanta DSA?
You can find Atlanta DSA, ATL DEMSOC, ATL DEMSOC. It's not the best tag, but the name Atlanta DSA, at least we changed it to that. If you want to listen to me just personally, individually, I'm at NSF Wonks, notsafemedia.com, patreon.com/notsafe. And obviously, if you're interested in something that you can do to help, there's so many competing things that you could be helping with. The Nabisco fund is super important. Our show is super important. It just gives us money to keep the lights on and take care of ourselves. I mean, I'm a caretaker. My knees hurt. My joints all hurt. It's rough. And we're all just trying to make it as human beings. So every little bit helps. But please stay tuned, stay inside. Don't get injured. Wear a mask, all that kind of stuff. Hydrate, stretch, everything.
Get vaccinated. Yeah.
Get vaccinated. Good Lord, get vaccinated, and don't let your kids go to school. It's really bad out there, man. These schools are opening and then closing back again. And the school boards, these school board meetings have got all kinds of bad vibes, right-wing radicals that go in there and shout at them until they keep the schools open. It's just been a total, complete mess. It's no good.
It is no good. And on that note, Brandon, thank you for coming on. Thank you for highlighting Atlanta DSA. It's a chapter that I've always admired for just being as big and as active as they are. Like I said, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Our goal, there is one more thing.
Right.
I really want the Atlanta chapter to absorb the editorial departments of some other chapters. Running a blog or a newspaper takes a lot of time and energy, and a lot of it's redundant. I would love, and I don't know I can't guarantee that this will happen, but for us to get articles and submissions from Miami and Charleston and Nashville and New Orleans and probably not DC. They're big enough, but some of our other chapters in Florida, Orlando, Athens, here in Georgia, and all on banner so that there's lots of stuff for people to read and hear. I think it'll be cool. But anyway, listen, thanks for having me. And what I also want to do, next time I'm back on, let's make a fun episode. Freaking Atlanta DSA. I mean, we're fighting the real hard battles out here. And the support's great. We got to hang out and have fun though. So we'll do it next time.
We have a Patreon series After Dark that we just talk shit about the news and everything.
About the best Gucci Man mixtapes.
Oh man. All right. Yeah. We'll bring me back. We'll talk about all that.
We'll talk about that. Yes. All right, y'all. At Dixieland, the proletariat, we the South will rise again, but this time for the right reasons. Those bring worker-owned means of production, decolonization, and self-determination for all oppressed peoples. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on social media at Dixie Prol and on Twitch at .prol, D-O-T Prol. We are coming to you from the birthplace of the Civil Rights Movement, Montgomery, Alabama, as well as the United Kingdom. We'd also like to recognize that we're recording on land that rightfully belongs to the Muskogee Nation. Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. I hope more people get involved with local organizations, and now they know more about Atlanta DSA, and maybe it'll cause them to reach out to organizations and join their local chapters.
Yeah, everybody find an organization that fits your ideology. If you think fucking DSA is cringe, I'm not gonna fucking argue with you.
Yeah.
Join any organization. Just go fucking do fucking something and network with other people who are working on the problems that you care about in ways that fit your personal worldview. Because shit's getting elevated out there, so we got to get elevated too.
Yeah, like the Klan. You can join the Klan if that fits your worldview.
Yeah, listen,
Get out there and do it.
I'm not making any suggestions. If you're thinking of joining the Klan,
Take a stand. Join the Klan.
Yeah, yeah, no, don't do that.
Oh my God! All right.
Well,